That 2 to 4 p.m. slump can feel like someone quietly turned your brain's power switch to low. You're not lazy, and you don't need to push harder. Most afternoon crashes come from a few predictable causes: blood sugar swings, dehydration, stale air and low movement, and a mismatch between caffeine timing and your natural body clock. The good news is, you can usually fix the pattern with small changes that don't require more coffee. In this guide, you'll build a simple system: stabilize energy with smarter meals, protect focus with light and movement, and use caffeine like a tool instead of a rescue. You'll also learn quick resets that work in 5 minutes, plus longer-term habits that make the slump less likely in the first place. Think of this as energy management, not motivation. Once you know what's driving your crash, you can choose the right lever. Moving to slide 2. First, get clear on what an energy crash actually is. For many people, it's a mix of sleepiness and low mental drive, plus cravings for quick carbs. One big driver is a rapid drop in blood glucose after a lunch that spikes it high. Another is circadian rhythm. Most humans have a natural dip in alertness in the early afternoon, even with perfect habits.
Add a little dehydration, a warm room, and hours of sitting, and the dip turns into a wall.
The key is to separate normal dip from avoidable crash. A normal dip feels like you could take a short walk and recover. A crash feels like your brain is buffering and your mood gets edgy. Over the next steps, you'll reduce the size of the dip and increase your ability to bounce back. That's the goal: fewer extremes, faster recovery, and steadier focus without relying on constant stimulants. Moving to slide 3, let's start with the biggest lever for most people: lunch composition. If lunch is mostly refined carbs, your blood sugar can rise fast and then fall fast. That drop often feels like heavy eyelids and urgent snacking. A steadier lunch has 3 anchors: protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Protein helps slow digestion and supports stable energy. Fiber from vegetables, beans, or whole grains slows glucose entry into the bloodstream. And fats, like olive oil, nuts, seeds, or avocado, also slow the curve. You don't need a perfect meal, just a better ratio. A simple template is 1 palm of protein, 2 fists of colorful vegetables, and a cupped hand of slow carbs if you want them. If you eat out, think add, don't subtract. Add a side salad, add beans, add a protein portion. The goal is a smoother energy curve, not a smaller lunch. Moving to slide 4. Portion size matters too, because digestion is work. A very large lunch pulls blood flow toward your gut and can make you feel sluggish. You don't need to eat tiny meals, but you do want to avoid the food coma zone. If you consistently crash after lunch, try a small experiment. Reduce lunch volume by about 20% and shift those calories into a planned afternoon snack. That snack should be balanced, not sugary. Think Greek yogurt with berries, a handful of nuts with fruit, hummus with carrots, or a boiled egg with whole grain crackers. This approach keeps energy steadier and prevents the desperate vending machine decision at 4 p.m. Another trick is pacing. Eating fast can overshoot fullness and can worsen that heavy feeling. Slow down for the first 5 minutes, then reassess. You're aiming for comfortably satisfied, not stuffed. Moving to slide 5. Now let's talk hydration, because mild dehydration can feel like fatigue and brain fog. Many people go through the morning on coffee, then forget plain fluids until they crash. A practical target is to start the day with water, then keep a steady trickle rather than chugging late. If you want a simple rule, check your urine color. Pale straw is often a reasonable sign you're hydrated, while consistently dark can mean you're behind. Electrolytes can matter if you sweat a lot, exercise, or drink large amounts of water. But most people can start with water and a normal balanced diet. Also watch the hidden dehydrators, a very salty lunch without fluids, or lots of caffeine without water alongside it. If your crash improves within 30 minutes of drinking water, that's a strong clue you've found one of your main levers. Moving to slide 6. Caffeine can help, but timing is the difference between a tool and a trap. If you drink coffee late, you can blunt sleep quality. Then you pay for it the next afternoon. Many people also stack caffeine on top of a crash caused by lunch, so they get a short lift, followed by another dip. A better strategy is to place caffeine earlier and use the smallest effective dose. For a lot of people, that means keeping most caffeine before early afternoon. If you're sensitive, even earlier can be better. You can also try caffeine splitting, half your usual amount mid-morning, then the other half around late morning, instead of one big hit. And if you want a gentler option, consider tea, which often feels smoother. The main idea is simple. Don't use caffeine to compensate for a fixable routine problem. Moving to slide 7. One of the fastest non-coffee fixes is light. Bright light signals alertness to your brain, and dim indoor light signals slow down. If your afternoon is mostly under low lighting, your body can drift towards sleepiness even if you slept well. A simple reset is to get a few minutes of brighter light exposure, ideally outdoors. If outdoors isn't possible, move closer to a window or increase indoor brightness. Pair that with a posture change. Stand up, open your chest, and take a few slower breaths. This is not about deep breathing for productivity. It's about shifting your nervous system out of that compressed, sleepy state. The effect can be surprisingly noticeable within minutes. The goal is to give your brain stronger daytime cues, especially during that natural circadian dip. Moving to slide 8. Movement is the other fast lever. When you sit for hours, your body downshifts. Blood flow slows, muscles stop sending wake-up signals, and your attention gets sticky. You don't need a workout, you need a pattern interrupt. Try a 5-minute movement snack. Brisk walking, stairs, or a simple circuit like 10 bodyweight squats, 10 wall push-ups, and a short walk.
Keep it easy enough that you don't sweat through your clothes.
The point is to raise heart rate slightly and wake up your nervous system. If you do this daily, you also train your brain to associate mid-afternoon with a reset, not a collapse. And if you can, do movement before you feel the crash. Preventing the dip is easier than climbing out of it once you're already foggy. Moving to slide 9. If your afternoon crash comes with cravings, it's often a sign your snack strategy needs an upgrade. The goal is not to avoid snacks. It's to avoid the kind that spike and drop your energy again. A reliable snack formula is protein plus fiber, with a little fat if you need staying power. Examples: cottage cheese with cucumber, apple with nut butter, edamame, or a small portion of tray mix that's mostly nuts and seeds. If you're plant-based, tofu bites or roasted chickpeas can work well. Timing matters too. If you wait until you're already shaking with hunger, you'll choose the fastest sugar. Plan the snack about 1 to 2 hours after lunch, especially on long meeting days. This keeps your blood sugar steadier and makes your afternoon feel more like a gentle slope than a cliff. Moving to slide 10, your environment can quietly drain energy. Warm rooms, stale air, and constant low-level noise all increase perceived effort. If you can, cool the room slightly or use a fan for airflow. Even a small temperature drop can make focus feel easier. Fresh air helps too. A short ventilation break can reduce that sleepy office feeling. Another underrated factor is visual clutter. When your space is messy, your brain keeps scanning for unfinished tasks. If you want a quick win, clear one small zone, the area directly in front of you. Keep only what you need for the next task. Finally, protect your attention from constant pings. Batch notifications for a set window, then return to quiet. You're not trying to become a monk. You're removing friction, so your limited afternoon energy goes into work, not into fighting the room. Moving to slide 11. Sometimes the crash is really a focus crash, not an energy crash. If you've been doing high cognitive work all morning, your brain may be hitting decision fatigue. The fix is to change the type of task, not just force more effort. Use your afternoon dip for lower friction work. Admin, scheduling, organizing, reviewing notes, or preparing tomorrow's first step. Then reserve your sharpest work window for earlier in the day when possible. Another tool is the tiny start. Pick the smallest possible action that moves the task forward for 2 minutes. Once you begin, momentum often returns. Also, watch multitasking. Switching tasks burns mental fuel and makes you feel tired faster. If you can do one thing at a time for even 15 minutes, you reduce that scattered, drained feeling.
Energy is partly biology, but it's also how you spend attention. Moving to slide 12. If you do everything right and still crash hard, zoom out to sleep.
Afternoon energy is often a delayed bill from last night. Even small sleep restriction adds up across the week.
2 practical upgrades help most people: consistent wake time and a wind down that reduces light and stimulation before bed. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a repeatable one. Also, consider sleep quality disruptors, like late heavy meals, late intense workouts, or caffeine too late in the day. If you snore loudly, wake up unrefreshed, or feel sleepy despite enough hours, it can be worth discussing with a clinician, because sleep-breathing issues can affect daytime alertness. The point here is not to blame sleep for everything. It's to recognize that lunch hacks can't fully compensate for chronic undersleeping. Moving to slide 13. Let's put this into a simple afternoon protocol you can actually follow. Step 1. At lunch, anchor protein and fiber, and avoid going extremely heavy on refined carbs. Step 2. Drink water with lunch and keep sipping through the afternoon. Step 3. Schedule a 5-minute movement snack about 60 to 90 minutes after lunch.
Step 4. Get a few minutes of brighter light, ideally outdoors, around the same time. Step 5. Use a planned snack if you tend to crash, using protein plus fiber. And Step 6. Keep caffeine earlier and avoid using it as a last-minute rescue. Run this for a week and notice what changes first. Many people find one lever does most of the work. Once you identify yours, you can keep the routine minimal. Consistency beats intensity here. Small daily adjustments create a very different afternoon. Moving to slide 14.
Before we wrap up, watch for a few red flags. If your crashes are sudden, extreme, or come with dizziness, heart racing, fainting, or unexplained weight changes, it's smart to get checked. Also, if you're constantly exhausted despite good sleep and stable meals, there may be an underlying issue worth discussing, like anemia, thyroid problems, or sleep disorders. For most people, though, the afternoon slump is a systems problem, not a character flaw. Start with one change: rebuild lunch or add the movement snack. Then layer in hydration and light. Keep caffeine earlier and smaller. If you want a simple challenge, try the protocol for 7 days and track your energy from 1 to 10 at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. If you found this useful, subscribe for more practical science-informed routines, and comment A or B, which helps you more: food changes or movement breaks. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Better biology creates better decisions.